actually helped him get his first book published. Oh yeah, I got my little book, the Century book, published in the early '70s. I became kind of a scout for that publishing company, kind of small, and they used to send me stacks of books. And one of them I came across was Jack's book, and so I always nudge him and say, "You'll go to all for me." Great. Well, you and he are such interesting guys because you've been in this business so long, the world of consciousness and conscious leadership. It's always good just to reflect back, and I'm super excited for our guests today because they're all about conscious leadership. Yeah. Well, let me introduce them. I want to introduce first Diana Chapman, who has been a good friend of ours for many, many years. And Diana, I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little bit in a moment. And I also want to introduce everybody to Jim Deepa, who's also been a great friend of mine for many years, and a fellow golf buddy. We've known each other since I was a 22 handicap, and then I went down to a 12 handicap, and then I had my knee replaced, and I'm back to an 18 now. But throughout it all, I've been out on the golf course, and often when I'm out there, Jim, I think of you because I remember our times together out here. So I'm going to just say that these two folks have created a remarkable vehicle called the Conscious Leadership Group. And what they're doing, I'll let them explain it, but they're doing something really wonderful in also systematizing some things like how to work with people in their genius zone and how to help people overcome their upper limit problems. And I'm always retweeting things they've done or forms they've created, or I especially am loving lately Diana's sort of Zen-like quotes about conscious business and things like that. I've been retweeting those like that. So let me have you introduce yourselves one at a time. Diana, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came up with this wild idea of the Conscious Leadership Group. And I'll flip over to Jim and have him do the same thing.
Well, I got one of the greatest gifts of my life in 1997, which was a check for $5,000. And my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, her husband, said, "You can do whatever you want to do with the money, but if I were you, I would fly over to California and get to a Hendrix training." So I said, "Why not? Let's do it." And I can remember it felt like somebody turned a switch on inside of me, like a light switch. Everything became multicolor. And I remember thinking, this seems criminal that all these ideas and models and concepts on how to be living a life free of drama are so secret. I didn't know about these things. And so I remember thinking, at that first training, I'm going to spend the rest of my life figuring out how I can make these concepts more broadly available to the world at large. And that was the catalyst for me to co-found the Conscious Leadership Group with Jim, and purpose in life to take the material we learned from UK and from a few other folks and turn it into digestible material that the business world can take in and create a lot less drama there.
And it's so happy to see you guys doing that because you're doing all the things that I'd love to see somebody else do. I spent many hours and days and months trying to incorporate calls back in the 80s and early 90s and corporate things like that. I'm really so glad I have another generation out there doing these things because they are incredibly valuable. Well, Jim, how about you, sir?
Great. So, the story that's relevant here became just 20 years ago or so. My wife said, "Hey, I'd like to go to a couples weekend." And she holds up one of her books, and we ended up going out to Ohio and going to a weekend. What was magical about the weekend, amongst many things, was one of the first people I met at the weekend before we communicated was Diana. She was already enrolled in her apprentice program, and then I was just showing up. And it was hilarious story, because here we were a couple of fairly traditional Midwestern folks beginning to kind of voyage off into this world of consciousness. And the apprentice group was having what was called a persona party, where you find one of your little selves that's deep learning person. Well, I met Diana first. When she was in persona, dressed up, I think she had a primrose on, but I'm not positive. And a fast friendship commenced that weekend, and then it was that weekend as well, that I met you in Katie, that began what is the lifelong devotion to being a conscious leader and bringing these things to the business world. One of our geniuses, Diane and I, we believe is communicating these transformational principles in a way that business people get, so we can kind of say with words and with illustrations that they get. And that's really the backbone of our culture. We say that our purpose is to support the expansion of conscious leadership in the world. We're going to say this. We want to really end suffering from this planet. And our target is artists, corporate leaders, business. So that's what we're up to. That's how we're starting.
I'm really so happy to see you all doing that. One of the things I was mentioning I most admire is how you turned things into really simple, powerful, short learning materials. You know, they're really fun to look at visually, and they have a tremendous amount of information on each area. And by the way, our viewers and listeners, get on the Conscious Leadership Group's social media channels, because they put out absolutely wonderful things that we could just take off the screen and use that day. And also, I want to put in a big plug for the book. And so, tell us a little bit about how the book came to be and what that's doing for you and how you guys did that and the time of all of that.
Yeah, we wrote the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. And the first few commitments we actually got because you and Katie wrote them. And we thought, these are such great commitments. And we were working with leaders who said, well, tell us more about what it looks like to really take radical responsibility. And where can we read more about that? And so we thought, well, maybe we should map that territory a little bit. And so the 15 seemed like a lot, but we thought thorough and it really covers all of what it means to live in a state of trust versus a state of threat. And we particularly put all of these concepts to illustration through business examples, so people in the business world could see how they play out. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about that, Jim?